Thank you, Chair. Our solar action plan sets an ambition for London to achieve 1 gigawatt of installed solar capacity by 2030, and TfL are directly contributing to this. Through the Refit programme, part of my Energy for Londoners programme, TfL has committed to deliver 1.1 megawatts of generating capacity by retrofitting solar panels across its larger existing rooftops, and work is underway to deliver on this. When constructing new buildings, TfL is integrating solar photovoltaic, solar PV, into the design where feasible. Solar PV has been incorporated into Whitechapel Elizabeth Line Station and the Old Oak Common Depot. However, the lack of support from government for solar severely undermines our efforts to deliver solar on a large scale on buildings across London. The removal also of the feed-in tariff for new solar applications this month, coupled with the government's increase in business rates for buildings, makes solar schemes less commercially attractive. I'm lobbying the government to improve the affordability of new solar, asking to address the business rates issue and minimising the gap between the removal of feed-in tariff and the introduction of the proposed smart export guarantee. But despite these setbacks, there's still huge opportunity for solar and other renewables across the whole of the TfL estate, not just the buildings. Using funding from my decentralised energy enabling project, TfL has commissioned a study of its land holdings and trackside sites that could offer potential for solar. This study is underway and will be completed later this year. TfL will progress the most promising sites for further development. In fact, a point made by the Assembly member at People's Question Time, a good point made last week. My environment strategy also sets an ambition for all the electricity powering TfL's rail services to be zero carbon by 2030. At the end of 2018, TfL undertook a market engagement exercise to understand the potential for third parties to directly supply low carbon electricity to TfL.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now, there is huge variability in the number of solar panels installed on station buildings. So in 2012, Blackfriars Station became the world's largest solar-powered bridge, and it provides 50% of the station's energy needs. It's a really good example. Now, you mentioned you've managed to get solar at Whitechapel and at Old Oak, but there's a lot of recent station redevelopments like Tottenham Court Road, Farringdon Underground, Paddington Station, for example, where there are very few solar panels included. So my question is, have you considered putting solar panels on all new Crossrail 2 stations, which have outside buildings and platforms, to maximise their solar generating capacity?
Well, Chair, I'd be astonished if, in relation to the Crossrail 2 stations, that wasn't the case, because there is no alternative. We've got to be making sure we have more ways to reduce the carbon.
Okay, that's great. In which case, if you could you ask someone to get back to me with any details on that? I'd be... Can
I agree a letter to somebody to write to the member, is that right?
Yep, thank you. And then you mentioned the kind of the sort of mapping exercise to assess the whole sort of TfL building portfolio for potential solar generation capacity, alongside an assessment of TfL-owned, undeveloped and trackside land. Yeah. Now, it was reported in November last year, and you alluded to this, but TfL's Senior Energy Strategy Manager said that the problems of installing solar panels trackside had been overcome, and investors were waiting to fund it, which sounds great. So, did you look at the solar generating potential of the entire 450 miles of train tracks in London?
Chair, I'm sorry, I know that information. I'm really sorry. Can I write to you on that? Because I'm looking at that information.
Please do write to me, and that's it for my questions. Thanks very much.